need, want, and drive. These are the three concepts that we're going to cover in this section of the program. What I'm going to do is to first show you a slide, which will start with a statement that you'll be exposed to quite a few times before you complete your program with us. So this is it. What you want is not what you need. And this is an important statement and a powerful one. In everyday life, you think that you want to have certain things, and at the same time, you feel that you need those things, right? I can give you examples. Uh, you may be like part of a newly married couple who believe that you need to find a good house, a nice house in a good neighborhood, right? You think you need that. You may be like starting your career and you think you need to have like a good position, you need to have like a high income, you need to earn more money. Some people feel that you need to have like this luxurious car, or you need to buy this like expensive designer handbag or item of clothing. So you feel that like, oh, these are the things that I need, right? And I cannot live without that. And like, I can also give you another example. I need this person. I cannot live without him or her. So you think those are the things that you need in life. But all the examples that I've just given to you, they are all not what you need. They are all what you want, right? So you're going, okay, so what do I need and what do I want? Like, so how do I tell the difference between the two? And why do I have to tell the difference, right? Isn't it okay if like I'm just like wanting what I need, and why do we have to sort of like get into this like apparently like hair splitting kind of analysis? I'm going to show you right away. So let us look at this slide here, right? So I have put down need, want, and drive on the left, right? So what you need are the conditions required for life, for survival, for carrying on life. So it would include like your physical biological needs, like, the need for oxygen, water, food, uh, stimulation, activity, rest, and physical safety. Some of you may say, well, you know what, like I don't know about stimulation and activity. Like I know, like we were brought up to believe that like life can only go on when you have like oxygen, water, food, and shelter, right, protecting you from the elements. And usually we're giving less attention to stimulation, activity, and rest. But let me tell you, you as a human being and your body as a human organism cannot actually survive, cannot actually carry on functioning normally if you do not have an appropriate amount of stimulation, activity, and rest. We do not have time in this particular section, but like if you get curious about SSLD and you move into some of our specific applications, you will see what a critical role stimulation and activity and rest may play in human life. It is no exaggeration to say that we can actually not survive without an appropriate amount of stimulation, activity, and rest. Young children not having enough of those may actually develop uh, neurological cognitive disorders. With our extensive work with people who are diagnosed with dementia, one of the problems that they're facing is that after they get the diagnosis, they're not getting enough stimulation and activity. People give them less when they actually need more. So it is important for us to understand like the biological, physical needs, right? The psychological needs would cover, like given you a few examples here, you can obviously think of like other needs that are psychological. You can be thinking of like, emotional balance, for example, and all these concepts, they're pretty fluid. I just want to emphasize that. Some people may say, well, I think something is missing from your list. Like, what about the need for a sense of mastery, a sense of control over one's life and one's situation? Yeah, those are legitimate psychological needs, right? How about the need for regard and the need for acceptance and need for being understood? Those I would put under self-esteem, but to the extent that many of our psychological needs can only be met or addressed within an interpersonal or social context, and some of these needs only emerge out of an interpersonal context or a social context, I will sometimes put them under social needs. So, but don't worry, like you do not even have to agree with my classification. These are not here to sort of like articulate a rigid conceptual model. These are offered to you as tools. So you use it, right, when they fit your purpose. And it is okay for you to come up with like new terms, with different ideas, but they are here to help you appreciate that like this is like how we can think of our needs in a sort of like more systematic manner. And the boundaries are not blurred. Some of these are sort of more discrete, like the need for stimulation that I just talked about, or the need for activity. Some of these are sort of like more fussy concepts with like nebulous boundaries. So then we can be looking at like social needs, like so we need to be like connected or attached to like human beings. Sometimes we can also feel the same need to a collective of human beings. It can be your football team, it can be your class in graduate school, it can be the regiment in the military system that you served in. It can be part of an interest group or a profession that you belong to. So you can feel this like feelings, and you can also be expecting acceptance and intimacy, sense of belonging from, as I said, like specific individuals. It can also be groups of individuals. It can also be a social entity. It can be like a profession, a group, a church, a mosque, a temple, a political group. So those can all be connected to your social needs. The spiritual needs is a little bit tricky because some people carry on with their lives without even paying attention to their spiritual needs. Some people don't even think that the spiritual dimension is important. Some people don't even feel that they have a spiritual dimension. They were pretty okay, like carrying on life, like looking after the physical, biological, their psychological, and their social needs. But for people who believe in, a spiritual domain, a spiritual reality, it can actually become the most important aspect of their lives. People who are pursuing spiritual goals or spiritual needs can be so involved that they can sometimes even happily forsake their psychological, social, physical, biological needs. Right? Some people may be in the pursuit of knowledge, science, or some religious, aesthetic, political ideal, and for them, without this value being realized, life is not even worth living. So all the conditions that are required for life would become secondary, right? So I discovered that like the earth is not flat, the earth is actually spherical. I discovered that the earth is not the center of the universe. But everyone around me believes that the earth is flat, and everyone around me believes that, we are the center of the universe, and everything is like literally like moving around us. And I understand that when I say this, like the church is not going to be happy and I may get excommunicated. Well, some people will like be pursuing a sense of justice and they believe that, well, slavery is a bad thing and it should not happen. I'm going to dedicate my life to fight slavery, to abolish slavery. And when I do that, like my wellness, my wealth, my social position, and maybe even my own personal life can be threatened. Right? Some people will happily risking what they have in life, including their own lives, right, for this kind of pursuits. And it can be like, political, it can be religious, it can be aesthetic, it can be just the pursuit of knowledge. Anything that takes a person above and beyond his or her being, his or her own survival, can be regarded as spiritual, right? Transcendental. So these people were moving towards, right, addressing a need, right, that is bigger than or above and beyond their own personal survival and their personal life. So we put them under the spiritual domain. So you have some appreciation that, like it is not always salient or central to an individual's life, but when it is, right, well, you can see its profound significance. Some people have referred to it as like matters of ultimate concern. Some people refer to them as like your superordinate value or direction or orientation in life. Some people refer to them as a sense of purpose. It doesn't matter what language you use. I just want you to recognize that it exists, right? At least for some human beings, they're actually the most important, most significant. All right, so those are needs. Then let's get to wants. So how do we distinguish between what you need and what you want? It's actually pretty simple. I'm going to give you two examples. You'll be exposed to many examples later, right? Okay, so the first example that I want to give you is food. So we all need food, right? You can also say that we all want food, but the food that you want and the food that I want can be very different. And the need for food, right, is almost universal among human beings. But what we want for food, right, is very diverse, right? Some people can think of food and then they think of like insects, termites, and some people when they think of food, they think of like hamburgers, like pastas. Some people when they think of food, they think of like rice. Some people insist that their food should be gluten-free. Some people insist that their food should be vegetarian, some vegan, some kosher, some halal. And we have like many different forms of wants, right? So what you need is food, but what you want is hamburgers, spaghetti, gluten-free, vegan, halal. So I think you see the difference between what you need and what you want, right? Okay. You need intimacy. You need to be in a relationship with someone. So that is your need. But what you want, right, can be very different. Some of us will want someone who's good looking, intelligent, wealthy, have certain characteristics, and we want to have someone who is like of the same gender or different gender or doesn't matter, or we can be like fluid about it. So what we want, right, and what we need, again, is very different. So we all need to have like a significant and intimate relationship in which we feel comfortable, we feel accepted, we feel enhanced. But then when we are in the real world, when we try to address that need, it translates into something that we want, right? Or some person or persons that we want. So what we want is very different than what we need. So I think you're okay with that. All right. So the third part of this conceptual system is drive. Again, right, it is not difficult to understand. You may have people having the same need, like we haven't been eating for a while now, but we may be differentially motivated to get food, right? Some people may be willing to walk for miles or climb up a tree or try different things uh, to get food. But some people may give up earlier. Some people may not be willing to put in the same amount of energy. So what we are looking at is your drive level. Some people are more driven or better motivated in everyday English. Um, so we are talking about people having the same need, may have like very diverse wants, and even when they have like similar needs and even similar wants, uh, they may be like differentially driven. Like some people who have a need for self-esteem, they need to be like positively regarded by their peers, by their friends, may want to purchase a prestigious item. Uh, some people is willing to like spend an entire night without sleep to go online to purchase. Some people may be willing to wait in line in front of a store to get this item. Um, some people would not want to spend as much energy, although they do feel a similar need and they may want the same thing, right? So the drive level can be different. So I think you understand this. So again, coming back to this, right? Trying to understand human motivation, we point out three important aspects: need, want, and drive. And remember how we started? I hope you can now have a good idea about what your needs are as opposed to what you want. And being able to differentiate, right, what you want and what you need is going to help you, because when we get fixated on what we want, like I need self-esteem, but I think people will only respect me or value me if I drive a luxurious car, or like I'm like putting on some expensive designer clothing item. uh, my options become very limited. But if I understand that, well, what I actually need, right, is not the car, it's not this expensive designer item. I need people to respect me, to like me. And there are many things I can do. And the luxurious item and the car were just like one or two of the many possible means. So I have like way more options. And because I understand that, well, I actually do not need that, right? I just want that. And then my life can actually be very gratifying, and I can be feeling more fulfilled if I understand what my needs are and how do I get those needs addressed, right? I may actually feel more liberated. And as I told you, right, you may be actually also saving a lot of money if you have a good understanding of what you need and what you want.